After the grand success of 2 webinars, here comes another one. On demand of youth of forensics, the family of Nexus the Ultimate Forensics brings to you a live webinar on advanced trends in forensic science stream from the alumni of forensicers to forensicers and by forensicers in India. After exploring the different fields such as insurance, research, government, competitive exams, legal, psychology, and marketing, yet there are so many. The approach, passion, and innovation can lead to a path of success. Hoping this webinar enlightens you with different streams. Our first session is the social work is an important stream for the world of humanity, wherein forensic can find its root in this field. Here comes the session on New Explores Forensic Social Work by Ms. Lakshana Asthana, Associate Partnerships at Edelgive Foundation. She assists the partnership team in business development, data management, and extensive secondary research. A graduate from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, was involved in ICBR, TANDA, and Center for Dalit Rights, and was one of the youngest researchers to be published internationally from the institute. She was awarded as Best Student at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai for the academic year 2017 to 2019, and also awarded for academic excellence at University of Mumbai in the year 2015, 16, and 17. She is also certified published researcher in International Journal of Innovative Research and Development. Over to you, Lakshana.
Thank you, Venkatesh. It was a very kind introduction from your end. Thank you very much. And so I'd quickly jump to what I wanted to bring forth to this platform. Considering that the topic for the current session is new explores and forensic science social work, like Venkatesh said, I'd briefly just recap it. My name is Lakshana Asthana, and I am currently associated with Edelgive Foundations in the role of Associative Partnerships. And my background, I'm a graduate in BSc Forensic Science, having done Masters in MA Social Work, specializing in Criminology and Justice. Today, I would be speaking about how criminology and forensics are related, because how forensics is mostly seen as an applied science, which is a concoction of a lot of subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, psychology. What next after the initial forensic science aspect of things is what I will talk about. Could we move on to the next slide? Starting with the most basic question being, what is criminology? Like most of the names for studies, it comes from a Greek word, which means crimen, accusation, and logia, which means the study of. So in the most basic terms, it is the study of crime, which involves analyzing the causes and how the law enforcement reacts to it. And the larger goal is prevention. Talking about criminology, in the current scenario in our country, there are two different ways this can be pursued. One being MSc Criminology, and the other being MA Social Work, Criminology and Justice. There are some misconceptions around how both of them are similar. To an extent, they are. However, I will try and bring out to make it more clear to you as to what both the roles involve. Moving on. MSc Criminology versus MA Social Work. The base for MSc Criminology is coming from forensic science, which is, like I said, an applied science. However, for social work, criminology and justice, the base is coming from the educational qualification, not just educational qualification, however, interventions basis the casework, the group work, community organization makes a very, very important aspect of it. It is not an applied science, it is a social science. Moving to the next bit, which are the kind of subjects we study under both. Despite of having similar names, like an MSc Criminology and MA Social Work Criminology, the kind of subjects we study would bring out a sense of the extent in which they are involved. In MSc, it is more around, crimes against women, from a very statistical and economics aspect of things, uh, combating mechanisms, terrorism, and bioserology and forensic pathology, things like that. However, in social work, criminology, and justice, we talk about it from a more human rights perspective, like child rights, women's rights. It's coming from a very feminist aspect of things. The kind of trends and perspective we see in crimes currently. What is the status of the victim who is affected? How do we propagate the kind of entitlements and rights that are both available for the victim as well as for the accused? So these are the nitty-gritties that we get into in social work criminology. And there are aspects that are different from the urban and the rural context, which is seen as a social aspect. That is how we move on. Again, typically, if we break it down any further, it involves criminology in MSc involves data collection, more of desk related work, which is very important coming from a research aspect of things, where they try and understand the biological, environmental, sociological, social and psychological needs which cause the criminality. However, social work entails looks at things with an approach as to how can we correct these mechanisms. It's not just stating it, but correcting and correctional practices through this. Moving on to the focus. Plainly defining the focus of criminology MSc, a person who's done MSc criminology would go ahead to become a criminologist. However, a person who has done MA social work, criminology and justice would be a criminal justice social work. So talking about the focus, both try and assist the justice system, but with different approaches. Criminologists try and approach it through corroborating findings through their research, and social workers try to engage with the offenders, the victims in terms of rehabilitation in order to prevent any kind of recidivism that could arise later. Summarily, talking about the kind of similarities and differences we see in both. Similarities, that both of them are advanced knowledges of crimes and offenders. Both come from the aspect of the NCRB data being one of the primary sources of references. Then that is how, basis the NCRB data, we move on to analyze the trends and the deviant behaviors that are emerging and the causes that are analyzed from the research aspect. Talking about constitutional policy, like I said, that forensic science is an applied science, and criminology is emerging from there. Finding a lot of deep root in law, and it helps for both the criminologist and social worker to have that basic understanding for the analysis of processes of court that can help them to understand the chain of custody. For the criminologist, it is required for them to understand it. For a social worker, it makes their job easier. That is how the analysis of court processes is a similarity. Talking about differences, the social worker is more concerned around the social response to the crime. Like talking about caste discriminations or race discriminations, that would come mostly under the purview of a social worker. The criminologist would look at the evidence-based stuff, the physical evidence-based things. Talking about law and society, we look at criminologists looking at the legal aspect of it, which is what the law runs by, which is how the judges make decisions on. However, the social workers look at the human rights aspect of it. That is giving a very basic example, that if the prisoner is getting the adequate legal representation in the jail or not. Do they have adequate health services or whatever they are entitled to within the jail as well, which is equally important. Rehabilitation and psychopathology. MA social work criminology or any criminal justice social worker focuses on how the offender or the victim can be reintegrated into the society, because it also deals with the kind of stigma that both the parties are going through at their end, their families are going through. It's about reintegration to an extent of normalization, so this doesn't happen again. That is how the whole base of correctional policy and approach comes in the aspect of criminal justice social work. Ethical concerns, criminologists and social workers. Social workers are more in the field, is why they are communicate in the field in terms of direct contact. Criminologists are directly engaging in the field through their trained knowledge of how to analyze the evidence, the situation. However, the social worker needs to get in touch with the offender, the victim directly to help design an intervention, mutually design an intervention that could reincorporate them without having them to change too much, because sustainability will not arrive until unless it is a mutual consented and a comfortable point where they reach. Extent of fieldwork for both is very different. As a criminal justice social worker myself, who pursued, who came into this field right after my forensic science, I realized that as a student, I was expected, and I was doing a lot of community organization and community learning, which was not a part of my curriculum or not an expectation when I was doing the applied science of forensics. Moving on to the role of a criminal justice social worker. Like I said, it is about rehabilitation of both the victim and the perpetrator. And if we talk about another main aspect of it, it is mostly coming from a place, the rehabilitation is coming from a place that there is a lot of deconstruction of thought process that is required. There are certain social and cultural aspects that we've been brought up into believing that, okay, there is a certain group of people who wo to aise hi karte hain, wo to aise hi karte hain. So these are things that stigmatize the coming generations. Or there are research studies showing that because of the preconceived stigma and preconceived notions of people, there are deviants, there are juvenile deviants, because they're like, we're already soch hi rahe hain aise, so why not just do it? They are already accusing us of things like this. There is one experience from my fieldwork that I had in this. There is a group of people called denotified tribes, and the stigma attached to them is so high that this community is staying in Mumbai itself, and the stigma attached to them is so high that if there is a theft in the vicinity, the first people to be picked up from any place are those people, are the people from the denotified tribes, because the assumption is that the tribal populations would be the people who have committed the theft. And this we are seeing, I mean, in my experience, I've seen it, coming across generations, and children saying things like, Didi, wo to hame aise hi samajhte hain na, to hum kare kyun? And this kind of rebellion is what criminal justice social workers try and address. And how can these be addressed is through the existing mechanisms, because there is no point in creating new mechanisms and investing that much more money, infrastructure, resources when you already have things in place. Like if a child is there in an open community, then linking them to an Anganwadi, because that would benefit the nutritional the nutritional capacity of the child. It will help them thrive further. It will put them to something constructive, linking their parents to Jan Dhan Yojana. It's more on linkages and entitlements, and deconstructing through workshops and sensitization campaigns, and trying to bust these myths, especially in the younger generations, because they are the future and they take us forward. And that's how the criminal justice social worker acts as a bridge between the system, which is not just the government, but also the police administration, the developmental authorities, the society, the criminal, and the victim. As a person who was a graduate in forensic science and moved to this field, I realized that personally, what helped me through that course and now in my professional life is that it helped me understand the schools of thought. It laid a good foundation for me to, the whole aspect of classical school of thought, the hedonistic principles that we were spoken about, the basic psychology of things, picking on smaller details. It helps you condition into becoming a keen observer, and that is very beneficial in a criminal justice social worker's life, or any social worker's life for that matter, because when you're in a community, these are human interactions that you're having. You cannot, if you are having a conversation with somebody eye to eye, you cannot be like, "Mujhe ek second dena, main pen paper nikal ke karti hu cheez." So it breaks the flow of the conversation, and rapport building is a huge challenge as a social worker. So I realized that my whole knack that I developed from my knowledge of forensics and my conditioned ability to give attention to detail helped me here to retain what I gathered in the field. Moreover, back then, I mean, like Venki very kindly said, and he spoke of one of the research studies that I worked on with another colleague of mine. We looked at five cases of criminals where we spoke on the whole aspect of nature versus nurture. That is, are criminals born criminals? And this was one school of thought. However, there are contradicting schools of thoughts, and we wanted to understand where do we see this through scientific data. And we realized that nature versus nurture is not a debate. It is nature being nurtured by the environmental factors, by the cultural factors, by the kind of conditioning that has happened over the years. Additionally, the kind of base that forensics gave me to understand law, to interpret it how I interpret it now, it made things quite easy for me to contextualize basis my scientific knowledge and the human rights perspectives that I was gaining insights into. And basis this, there were a lot of experiences where when Venki spoke of my engagement with Center for Dalit Rights, we used to come across cases where there were files, like forensic files, that were given to us as just to study and review, and they were done very methodologically, and the interpretation of it became much easier for me, and the kind of terms used, the kind of analysis done, it just made things much easier for me. So yes, this is how I saw my whole engagement with forensics and what I derive from it in my current scenario. Again, to just give a different example on this, and with this I will end the session. I just want to talk about a very monumental case, which was the Mathura rape case, just to give the demarcation between a criminal justice social workers aspect and a criminologist aspect. When the rape case happened, it was the analysis of the semen, and lack of physical evidence, which is why the decision was delayed, and later the accused were released on account of the whole aspect of lack of resistance, meaning consent. So the role of criminologist here is to analyze the evidence that has been collected from the crime scene, which is springing from the whole aspect of applied science of forensics. However, the criminal justice social worker looks at how the victim, Mathura in this case, is rehabilitated into the society without the whole stigma of ki ladki ka rape ho gaya, uski life barbaad ho gayi, now what will happen? How do we link her to relief schemes? And at that point of time, there was no Nirbhaya. Later, there are cases like Nirbhaya. And then the criminal justice social worker, in addition, and help with help of experts, we also try and advocate for a change in law basis the kind of circumstances that have arisen. And That's how Mathura rape case led to the whole aspect of, incorporation of custodial violence being incorporated in the act of rape. A defined period of sentence for imprisonment was incorporated then. And otherwise, anybody who would have committed rape could have been, earlier could have actually gotten like a punishment for just 5 days and be done with it, because it was not prescribed by law. Now it is 7 years and above. Basis that, I mean, Nirbhaya, most of us are very aware of the very sorry incident that happened. And post that also there were changes in the law around how they define rape. So yes, the aspect of changing of laws is through the social science and the legal things. However, the criminologists assist the system to understand what the decision could be. So yes, with this, I mean, please feel free to reach out to me at any given point of time to have a chat and write in or connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be very happy to take any questions. Please feel free.
Thank you so much, Lakshana. It was a pleasure having you here. It's really good to see like students are coming up with different scopes of forensic science. They are like not limiting the scope, and like they are finding new ways so that where the knowledge that they have learned in forensics they can apply in different sectors. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's a very good thing. And hope the youth that are like pursuing their bachelor's and masters in forensic science, they also don't get disheartened and they like choose their career
Exactly.
wisely.
Like
Whoever
I mean,
are interested, like want to know more about this thing, they can surely contact Lakshana. She'll
absolutely,
help you out.
like I want to leave with one last, I mean, one thing from my end, that there is no dead end here. Please do not think that this is the end all of it, because it is a wide universe and you have a lot of other options that you can pursue through this. And Venkatesh being Venkatesh, you have to understand his journey. You have to know the people on this panel who are already there, and I'm sure there are ways that you can just outshine. I'm sure you guys will.
That's a very nice thing said by Lakshana. But then it's like, again, we are just trying to keep up the positivity of forensic science in all these students. Yeah,
That
that's
is
the prime thing that we are arranging webinars for. So
that is lovely.
it's a
Lovely
very good
initiative.
thing. Again, it was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome to our next session. On demand of youth and upgrowing scope in field of investigation, here comes our next session on freelance forensic expert, leading path in investigation. The speaker for the session is Ms. Titiksha Desai Kamble ma'am, who works as freelance forensic expert with more than 10 years of experience in the field of forensic science. With professional qualification as certified document and fingerprint expert, she is excelling in the field. She has handled more than 300 cases related to question document examination, handwriting examination, and signature verification and fingerprint services, fire scene and crime scene investigation cases even. Worked on high-profile suicide case of Bollywood actress Nasifa Jia Khan and provided a complete scientific reconstruction of the findings related to the case. She has played an important role in setting up the Forensic Science Department laboratory at Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai, and was appointed as an ad hoc committee member by University of Mumbai for preparing syllabus for BSc, MSc, and PG diploma courses at Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai. She was appointed as the member of technical committee for purchase of high-tech forensic instruments at the Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai. She has attended a number of research and workshops across the globe. It takes an immense pleasure to welcome her for this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, thank you, Venkatesh, for this elaborate introduction. Okay, so as Venkatesh has already informed that I'm a independent forensic expert. Okay, and many of you are aspiring to be independent forensic experts, but maybe don't know how to go about doing it, and who to tap, where to reach out to, who to reach out to, how to build contact. So I will be going through all of that in detail. All right. Okay. So let's start with the first and foremost. Who is a freelancing forensic expert or an independent forensic expert or independent forensic consultant, whatever you may call it? All right. I can change the slide.
Yeah.
So, like I've written, any individual or any team of individuals who have correct qualification and enough experience, who get hired by various government bodies or various corporate agencies or individual clients for conducting any investigation related to forensics are called as freelancing or independent forensic experts. All right. Individuals meaning any qualified experts individually, going and approaching people to take them up in their panel as experts, and a team of individuals. What do I mean by team of individuals? Like if there are like 4 to 5 people having different different qualifications or different expertise, like let's say somebody in the group is a forensic expert, somebody is a psychologist, somebody is a cyber expert, somebody is a grapho expert, graphology expert, all right. So this is a team or a group of individuals who can also approach various agencies or companies who may want to, who may want to take them up as investigators in any case. So this is these are the people who are known as independent forensic experts. Okay? Now, if you have noticed, I've highlighted certain words, that is correct qualification and enough experience. All right, which is for me, I mean, to me, I think it is very, very important to be to have the accurate qualification and to have enough experience to call yourself as an independent forensic expert. Why I say that is because over the period of, let's say, a decade or more, you may have noticed that a lot of people, a lot of young students, young aspirants have come up with maybe just a short course or just a diploma in forensic or in any field of forensic, and they have opened up a business. Now, my problem is not with them opening up their business. My problem is when such people go to the court, because being an independent expert does not exempt you from being called to the court. All right. So under Section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act, anybody who is qualified enough can be called to the court as an expert on a particular case. All right. So such people will give a report, and what happens is that when they are crossed or when they are called for a cross-examination, the defense counsel will make sure that their report is thrown out of the window, because you don't have enough qualification and you don't have enough experience, and therefore your report is not does not have the quality to be called as a viable or a reliable source of evidence in the court. All right. So that is why I say that qualification and experience is the most important. Okay, when you want to become a private forensic investigator. All right. Now let's see what qualifications, what are the basic qualifications that are important. Okay, so the basic qualification that you should have is a bachelor's degree in any field of science. maybe it may also be forensic science, forensic investigation, criminology, criminal investigation, forensic psychology, forensic accounting, cybercrime, um, uh, computer forensics, etc. All right, but a minimum of a bachelor's degree is important. All right. Now, if it is extremely ideal if you have a master's degree or a PhD as well. I mean, that is the ideal qualification. All right. Apart from these basic degrees, all right, your BSc or your MSc or a PhD, you also should acquire or make an attempt to acquire any short course or any diploma certificate on allied forensic subjects like computer forensics or criminal law, cyber law, psychology, graphology, handwriting comparison, signature comparison, fingerprint, accounting, etc. It always helps if you have a supporting certification or supporting degree to support your basic graduation degree, graduation or post-graduation degree. It is like an icing on the cake. All right. Apart from that, you also need to have the correct experience. That is, get into an internship with any government lab, okay, or with the police, or with any law houses, okay, or with any private organizations that are of reputed stature, all right, either an internship or a training, all right. Now, apart from that, also you can consider getting certified, all right, um, as a certified fraud examiner or a certified forensic expert or a certified handwriting expert. So if you do a little bit of the research on internet, you will come across many of these organizations who are offering certifications. All right. So if you do that, then that is also an advantage in your bag. All right. Now, also, if you see the point that I have highlighted, your qualification and experience becomes very important when you are called as a witness for cross-examination during a court trial. Like I already discussed, these are the minimum requirements that anybody should have to become or to call themselves an qualified independent forensic expert. Because like I said, that in the court, there is a prosecution and there's defense, all right? What happens is, you are on the prosecution side, you have given a certain report, all right? No matter how authentic your report is, okay, but you lack in qualification, okay, as compared to when the defense has a report from an individual or a team of forensic experts who are highly qualified, all right, having X amount of experience. Immediately, your report is disqualified or is not considered as viable in the courtroom. All right. So that is one of the reasons why you should always make sure that you are having enough qualification and enough experience. I would say more than qualification, enough experience. All right. Take it slow. Don't be in a rush. This is mainly for the new aspirants. I would say this is a digital world. Everybody is on a hurry. Everybody wants to reach somewhere fast. Take it slow, get your degrees, get your certifications, get your diplomas, go for trainings, apply for trainings, apply for internships, attend many workshops, hone your skills, all right, and then try to become an independent forensic expert.
it is not a process that will happen in 1 or 2 years. You might have to invest some time, but I think at the end it will be for your benefit. All right. So for me, this is the minimum that you should be having. All right. Moving on to the next slide. Okay. Now let's talk about the role of a freelancing forensic expert. All right. Or role of independent forensic expert. Now, we have talked about the qualification, everything. All right. Now, what do you do with these qualification and this experience? How do you build your clientele? Who should be your clientele? Okay, who should you go and tap? All right. So these are some of the points that I have mentioned. All right. There is a vast, I would say, vast variety of corporate houses or private organizations that you can consider approaching, but some of them are these that I have mentioned. All right. First one is consider insurance companies. Okay. So insurance companies are basically companies that provide life insurance or health insurance to you. All right. So in such companies, you will more than often come across many signature frauds. All right. So there are employees who will come to you with a certain policy. You will say, okay, everything is fine. They will ask you to sign 5-6 documents. All right. And then sometimes what happens is, without verifying what you are signing, you will just sign one after the other. All right. So then in their records, what you have done is you have signed on a blank a policy paper, and in their record they have shown that you have taken so many XYZ number of policies. Now when the money is then eventually deducted from your account, you realize that this is not the policies that you have bought. All right. So in such cases, then forensic experts or handwriting or signature experts are called in for verifying the signatures of the employees with the signatures that are there on policy forms and that of the clients. All right. So that is one aspect. All right. You can, as an expert, you can also do background checks for the insurance companies. Okay. Any cyber investigation, any siphoning of the money from X person's account to the employee's account, all that investigation can be conducted. You can also go in for lie detection or polygraph test for employees who you may suspect are lying, okay, are at fault. You can also oppose them for a grapho analysis. So grapho analysis is something which basically gives you an indication if this person is a potential liar or a potential crook. All right. So you can in insurance companies, this is what you can look into. All right. And many other, depending on what is your qualification. All right. Now, same thing for banks and government and private banks also. Same thing, signature verification. Apart from signature verification, you will also come across some checks which are fraudulent. Okay, so some checks can be scanned and then placed for withdrawal. Okay, even there have been cases which I personally have worked on where there are 2 checks of the same account number, both authentic, but one is deposited in Mumbai bank and one is deposited in a bank in Goa. All right, but both have the same check number. They are absolutely identical. All right, and you cannot even say that it is a fraudulent check because it is in fact a genuine check. So this gives you an indication that maybe the there is fraud happening at the place where the checks are being printed. All right. So such areas of expertise, I mean, such areas you can tap into when it comes to banks. All right. You can also get into education, training, or workshops for any law professionals like advocates or judges. Make them aware of how to, what is forensic science, how to go about it, what are the right questions that you should be asking when you come across a fraud case or a civil case. All right. You can also prepare or conduct workshops or training for the police officials to give them an information about how you should go about investigating a case, or what are the steps that you should be taking when you attend a crime scene. Okay. Also training and workshops to students, aspiring students, and experts from other fields in this in forensics. All right. So all of these you can consider. Now you can also consider um, approaching detective and security agencies. All right. Now, detective agencies and security agencies are agencies that do a full 360-degree investigation on either a company or an individual, right? Now, in such cases, you can approach them by saying that you have certain qualifications in certain areas of forensics, like question documents. You can approach them by saying that you are a question document examiner. You can identify, you can do signature verification, or identify a fraud document from the original. All right. You can conduct a graph analysis for any handwritten documents that they may procure during their during their investigation. CCTV examination, audio video authentication, okay, cyber or computer investigation, any fingerprint verification. So these are the areas that you can help out the detective and the security agencies with. All right. Talking about law and litigation firms, again, in many civil cases, you will definitely come across and how to go about it. All right. So even that can be helpful. All right. Um, right. Okay. All right. So that's for law and litigation firms. Okay. Another firm that you can consider approaching is the CA or audit firms. All right. This is mainly for people who are experts in forensic accounting. All right. So these firms, these audit firms will definitely hire such people who have a degree in forensic accounting. All right. They can audit the balance or any such organizations. All right. So yeah. And then lastly, I would also say that you should also consider having a tie-up with any economic offense wing at the crime branch, or any courthouses. You may want to list of panel probably approach you that your qualifications are good enough. All right. So yeah, so these are I think these are the places that you should be considering approaching if you want to become a freelance forensic investigator. All right. Now, finally, moving on to the next slide. Now, how do you connect with clients, and what is the struggle behind it? All right. So till now we have understood that you should have certain qualification, certain degree. You can approach so many people, insurance agencies, bank, crime branch, law firms, audit firms, etc. Okay, you have everything sorted, but you don't have a clientele. Now that is the most, like I have already mentioned, is the toughest part of your job. All right, building a client. All right. Now in this case, it is tough. Why I say is because we are not marketing people. We are scientists. So for some of us, it becomes very difficult to actually go to somebody and tell them that, look, this is who I am, and this is, give me a chance. And even when you do this, not many people will, take you, will give you the time and effort, or will give you job straight away. So it is definitely a struggle. But like I've mentioned, don't lose hope. Keep at it. Okay, consider you making use of social media platforms like LinkedIn. All right, or you can even do Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. um, get in touch with them, email them, find out their phone numbers or email IDs. Don't shy away from getting in touch with them. Don't be troubled if they do not reply. Always, you can always send another reminder. All right. So this is the way you should probably go about it. All right. Be patient. Be ready to be on the move. All right. Now sitting at home and just going on through LinkedIn and finding out potential clients is not going to help. You have to make your profile, which will include your qualification, your experience, whatever you have done so far, and then go to companies, go to law firms, go to audit firms, go to courthouses, go to the police, go to any other organizations, and tell them that, look, this is who I am, and why don't you give me a chance? I think I can put something on to bring something to, be useful to you at some point. All right, sharpen your craft. uh, like I said in the first slide, get only getting a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or PhD is not going to be enough. Get a certification, get many more diploma certificates, get many more short course certificates, attend many workshops, sharpen your skills, be up to date with the latest technologies, with the latest trends that are there in the forensics. All right. Do not shy away from approaching people. All right. Make an effort to go and meet somebody. All right. You may face rejections, but uh, this is like any other field outside of forensics. You will face rejections everywhere, but you have, nevertheless, you shouldn't be losing hope, and hone your uh, communication skills, your persuasive skills. Eventually, as a freelancer, you eventually also become a PR person for yourself. Like I always tell a couple of my students who want to get into a certain stream of forensics, that you have to be able to sell yourself. I am something I know, but I need to be able to tell this to the entire world. The entire world should be able to see that I have potential, and that if you give me a chance, I can bring something to the table. This is how you can I have the points, so I can end my presentation with this. And if there are any questions, I guess then you can have them answered at some point. yeah, so some of the work that I have done, I have put up the photographs of some of the in a lecture at the Pune courthouse. I have gone to a crime scene at a crime scene to collect fingerprints. Okay, I have department. I have conducted workshops on blood spatter analysis. I have given training to the police academy at Thane and felicitation at Khalsa College. So yeah. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure having you here. I hope all the youth that are trying to be an independent forensic expert, they find it informative, but they also see to it that what all the qualifications and experience they require, and they first take the experience and then become a forensic expert, as you said. So it will be a very good opportunity for them to understand the exact scenario, what is happening in the field as well as in the courts, so that they can be at the time of court summons, they can deliver themselves at the best.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Same.
Welcome to our next session. The world is digitalizing and developing at every moment. So Nexus takes the initiative to present the next session on certifications and courses, add-on advantage for digital forensics. Our speaker for the session is Ms. Priyanka Joshi, cybersecurity consultant at Ernst & Young. She has more than 4 years of experience in application security, network security, configuration review, mobile security, iOS and Android. She also has experience in ISMS, COBIT, ITGC, physical audits, etc. She is here to guide us with the various certifications and upcoming demand. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Venki. So, first you have to understand what is the let me introduce to myself. I'm Priyanka Joshi. I'm an OSCP, and as Venki said, that I belong to Ernst & Young, Mumbai. And if you have any queries, if you have any doubts, you're free to text me or mail me up on my mail ID, which is already there in the slide. Moving on to the next. Guys, you have to understand what is the cyber forensics and the IT security. You must have learned in the college days that we have both cyber forensics and cyber security clubbed into one syllabus. But in reality, it is not so. In cyber forensics, basically, as by the definition, it is a role in which you play investigations. You have to maintain evidence that is in this area. This is a digital evidences. You have to extract it, analyze it, and then you have to store it in a very safe place. But in a cyber IT security or a cyber security, here you have to deal with the vulnerabilities that are being noticed in day-to-day life. Cyber security is always a field where there are multiple vulnerabilities that come up every day. Every day a zero-day attack could be launched. And this is a field that you have to keep on learning constantly, everything, every second. Moving on to the jobs and the typical jobs that you might notice or you might have seen on a LinkedIn or a Naukri.com or any other sites, like there is a vacancy with respect to cyber forensics. It would be like a forensics investigator or cyber forensic technician, a digital forensics specialist or a forensic analyst. Whereas in cyber security, you would get a list which would be like a malware analyst, or a cyber security consultant or information security consultant, or at times there could be also an application security engineer or a network security engineer. Moving to the next. basic certifications and courses in cyber forensics. And also the next slide would be of cyber security. So to get into organizations, you must be on 100% sure that you at least have one certification, which would be like a bonus to you, which would be like a cherry on a cake for you to enter into an organization. At the start, nobody is going to ask you that how much knowledge do you have, or what have you worked on, or what are the things that you know. But they will definitely see that if you have a certification, if you have a basic knowledge of it, make sure guys that you at least have a basic knowledge, a basic understanding towards your favorite domain. So the first certification that I have put on a list is a certified course in cyber forensics and law. This is by a CDAC. You all must be knowing that the CDAC is very famous entity in India. So next is a NCASE, and they have launched a certification named as NCASE Certified Engineer. I am 100% sure that if you are a forensic science student, you have gone across in NCASE. There are many sessions, there are many practicals that happen in your college and happen in our college, which gives you a hands-on time for an NCASE. And trust me, our college, that is Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai, they do have a paid one. So you have always a chance to get a hands-on over it. So next is a certified forensic analyst by GCFA. This is a worldwide certification which you can use anywhere, everywhere, and you would be like introduced as on a international platform. The next two certifications are by EC Council. As you might be knowing that EC Council is a worldwide entity which gives you a lots and lots of basic certifications which are sufficient enough to get into an organizations. So the first certification, that is CHFI, Computer Hacking Forensics Investigator, and this is a certification which is like a very basic thing and you would enjoy doing it. Moving to the next slide, which are the certifications in cyber security. The first is CCNA, that is Cisco Certified Network Associate. Guys, if you are mastered in this certification, if you have done this certification, trust me, you would be recognized or like allowed everywhere, anywhere, because this is very difficult certification. Yes, it is a basic certification. To understand this certification, you need a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding towards it. The second is again by EC Council, that is Certified Ethical Hacker. This is a certification in which you would learn what actual hacking thing goes around. So this is again a very basic certification, but it is a very useful certification. Your organization would always welcome you if you have these certifications. So the next certification that is on my list is Certified Information Security Consultant by IIS. So let me just have a small brief about IIS. So IIS is Institute of Information Security. So this institute gives you many certifications. One of the certifications that I have listed. This is not a certification which is a 6 months course or a 3 months course which you have recently introduced. They will teach you what is basics in application security, what would be the basics in network security, what are the basics of mobile security, what is a compliance, how a forensic happens, how a chain of custody is maintained. They will teach you with what is NK, what is FTK. They will again teach you what is exactly a compliance or audit governance. So if you ever have a chance to get through this certification, I would definitely request you guys to go through this. The next certification is CNSS, that is Certified Network Security Specialist. So this is a very basic certification. This is a UK certification, which is again a plus point for you if you do this certification. This is in this certification, you will basically learn what exactly goes around with the network security, how is it maintained, with respect to how are the proxies maintained, how are the IPs listed. So, and the next certification is very interesting certification. This is ISO 271. So if you are interested to in compliance, you want to learn how it goes, please go for this certification. You would know how is a ISO 271 what is it, how other companies get complied to it, why do companies get complied to it, how to implement ISO 271 across one organization. So now there are very strong certifications. Mostly in LinkedIn, you might be coming up having people certifying with OSCP or OSWP or OSWE. So these certifications, for these certifications, you basically need a huge experience. You need time. So if you are like, I'm 1 year of experience, and should I go for this certification? Make sure that you have appropriate time, you have appropriate experience to do these certifications, because this is not a so next certifications are certifications by offensive security. So I won't say much about it. I'm sure that you guys already know how big organization is the offensive security. They give you multiple certifications. Things that which you might have known or which you might have never come across it. So the first certification that I've put on these slides is OSWP. This is a certification with respect to Wi-Fi. So there are multiple ways you need to take down a Wi-Fi, or you want to hack into a Wi-Fi. So this is the best certification for that. So next is the OSCP. So you might be coming up across LinkedIn that this guy, the OSCP, they have done this OSCP, keep trying harder, try harder, the basic motto of it, always try harder. So this is will make you learn how to deal or how to get into a networks, how to penetrate it, how to learn a Kali. What is a Kali? You should know that before doing everything. Second is, the last one I have listed is the OSWE, this is a web expert. To know this certification, first you have to have a understanding and a depth knowledge of what are the applications, how are they being hosted, and how you can compromise an application. So these are not a simple certifications. For this you have to gain a lot of knowledge on a first hand. Secondly, you have to have time to do these certifications, and second, and the lastly, that is that you have to keep trying it. So all I suggest for these 3 certifications, that you take a time in your career, take like 2 years, 2.5 years, and then come to certifications. Because in your the time is much more crucial for this. SSP, CSA, CIS, many level certifications. So guys, even to understand, even 4th year of your experience, that I mean, if you do this certification, you will always get an associate. Post 5th year, you have a valid certification. So yes, for these 3 certifications, you need your experience is being counted. So over the organization, first you have to provide your experience and then get a certification. So proceeding to the next slide. What are your areas of interest, whether it's cyber security or cyber forensics? So guys, do not mix up between cyber forensics and cyber security. These are you have to understand that what are your interest of area. Do you want to deal with cyber forensics or in a cyber security? So you might have a question that what is the main difference, because in our syllabus it was on a one single page that you have vulnerability VAPT, that is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, and the second you had mobile forensics. So what is the huge difference in between? Yes, there is a difference, guys. There is a lot of difference. As I already mentioned, cyber forensic comes when you have to investigate things. In cybersecurity, you don't investigate things. You find the vulnerabilities. Cyber forensics happens post an incident is being occurred or post an incident happens. But cybersecurity is something where you can stop an incident happening. So, like if you want to choose a career, so you have to have an idea that where is your area of interest. Are you interested in cyber forensics or in a cyber security? If you have ever come across the GD or a cyber forensics, you would know what are the exact requirements that is being used for here. So in cyber forensics, mostly they have written that you need to be a CA or someone in lawsuit, but that's not true, guys. But yes, that is true. Sorry, that is true, but yes, based on the certifications which we have already mentioned on the previous slides, you have a key chance to get into this. What is your cyber forensics? But first, make sure that where you want to start in forensics or in security. Whereas in security, you have like a lot of things to learn. You have a lot of things. I will do only VAPT. I won't do like web applications. No, guys, this won't happen. This does not happen. Assessment and penetration testing done. How is a web application security done? You have to understand these things. What is exactly how mobile security assessment is conducted? What is an API? How does it play a role? How to test your API? What are the tools used here? And then, so what is even the cloud risk assessment? You must have come across that, okay, organizations entirely have a cloud setup. Even their risk assessment is done. You have to know what is the compliance, what does it play role. So what are the other things of compliance apart from ISO 27001? So guys, it's not like you have to stick to one domain. So you have to move everywhere. You have to understand to over here that I belong to a cybersecurity domain, and I know how the world plays over here. So on the first day of my career, first day of my life, I had done a configuration review of like how it happens. So you have to learn. You have to have that thing that I will learn. I will keep on learning. Every day is a learning day for you, guys. So you have to understand that how does a configuration review happens? How does a web application security happens? How do you proxy it? How do you put a proxy into a web application? How do you do that? So these are like basic things. So there are many people coming up and asking that I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? So and I asked them that what is your area of interest? So they are like, I've done my master's in cyber forensics and IT security. So I again asked the question, you have to divide a line and understand that what do you want? You want to go into cyber forensics or you want to come into cyber security? So guys, cyber forensics is somewhere you have to understand that if you are dealing here, you will be dealing into a legal matter also. You have to understand what is even a law as well. But in a cyber security, yes, you have to understand how to penetrate things. You have to understand how a firewall review works, how a network review works. So it is not like as simple as that. Everything is very complicated, but you are the one to make it simple. You are the one to understand it because that should be your area of interest. You should understand what do you want. So moving on to the next slide. is jobs. So guys, if you have done, so guys, jobs. So if you have done your master's in cyber security and cyber forensics and IT security, don't think that if you are from IFSC Mumbai, the companies would come to you. Exceptionally, if you are in Gujarat GFSU, yes, the companies do come to you. So that is a minus point I would say, because of IFSC is not much recognized in Mumbai. But these are few companies that are open-mindedly that they welcome the newcomers. So guys, always make LinkedIn your best friend, make Google your best friend, make Naukri.com your best friend. Keep on searching jobs, keep on searching them, keep on searching jobs which have like a vacancy for 0 to 1 year, years of experiences of your area of interest. That again I would say. So these are the basic few companies that are like always welcoming freshers. One is Happiest Mind, eClinical Works, then OJS, then there's a Productivity India, where this was my starting company. Then there's a Network Intelligence, Crest IT Consulting, CyberQ, Vartura, and then comes a Big Four. So guys, Big Four is always a dream for, I guess, anybody in a consulting, that they have to go to Big Four once in their lifetime. So if you are in the GFSU, then you have a chance to step into Big Fours, then compared to if you are in Mumbai, IFSC in Mumbai. So so guys, never get disheartened. There is always a way away for you, that you have somewhere. But keep trying, keep consistent, always keep on trying for your jobs. You will get it someday, somewhere. So moving on to the next. So this is a small story of mine that I started. I did my BSc in Forensic Science in Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai. I also have done my master's in cyber security and IT forensics in the same institute. But with the master's, I was also doing a CISC course by IIS. So CISC is Certified Information Security Consultant. This is a 6 months course. So as of now, they have even term to 3 months as well. But this was like a real difficult job for me, because I had to manage my master's also, and also manage this course. I had to get passed through it, because there was always a thing that I need a job somewhere. So, but with bless of all my colleagues over there, all my classmates were so good that they made me happen both the things at the same time. So that if I would request everybody who is doing both the things together, if you are doing some courses and also masters, please guys help them out as much as you could. So CIC, doing the CIC would be one more beneficial for you, that if you are a really good student, if you are that good, you are Network Intelligence India, they will think of getting you recruited, or they will get you recruited, because it's in their policy that if a student does here a course like CISC, that is a Certified Information Security Consultant, you get a chance working with Network Intelligence. You get a chance opening over there. But guys, always keep it in the mind that you give your 100% in this course, because this is not like college. They will teach you a lot of new things. So along with CIS, they will give you 2 more certifications. That is Certified Professional Hacker and Certified Professional Forensics. So you will get that also. But let's keep one thing in mind. This course is a bit expensive. It goes around almost a lakh and 30,000. So of course, as per whatever your financial needs are, you have to keep it in mind. Or you have other certifications also. Now, don't get disheartened. You have other certifications also which do not cost so much, like CH and others that I have already listed. or CNSS, which is like everybody is doing that because in this COVID situation, these people have put a free coupon for it, which you get a certification free. So guys, don't get disheartened. You have those options also. And then I came across Protivity India. I did took a job from Institute of Information Security. They had asked me to join network intelligence, but I denied it. I wanted to do something of my own. So I landed up with Protivity India. So I have done my 2 years of experience here. So one of my seniors said to me that Priyanka, always keep one thing in mind. For the first 5 years of your experience, do whatever is there on your plate, whatever your manager says, do everything. You will learn everything. This would make you to learn so many things that you would understand that nobody is going to deny you because you know all the things. So guys, 5 years of experience, say yes to each and every work that is being given to you or allotted to you. So post that, I've joined Honest and Young, and I'm still working with it, and this is really a happy organization. During Protivity India, I have also done my OSCP here. So this was like, I've put my days and nights together for this certification. Yes, I was on a leave for weeks because I wanted to do it. I've done this certification during night hours, during whatever time I get, during my office hours, in my lunch breaks, whenever possible. The path is not always easy. You have to get a lot of pains to reach somewhere. And now in Ernst & Young, I'm a cybersecurity consultant. So you might be knowing EY is one of the big fours, and you are really happy here. And now, yes, I'm looking forward and I'm working with EY. So this was, and these are a few certifications that I have done, that is Certified Information Security Consultant, that is OSCP. Then EY made me to the certification from APMG International, that is Certified Cyber Incident Planning and Response. This was like something different for me because this comes more into compliance or data or RA part, which I had not much idea, but yes, EY would always make you to learn new things, which made me to do this certification. And lastly, during COVID situation, I've got my hands on this CNSS. This is a basic certification, guys. You can do it. This is really good certification. So that's all with all my journey. So guys, if you have any questions, if you have anything, please ping me on my mailbox. I'll definitely revert you back. And with this, I would really like to thank Venki for allowing me to give this beautiful platform with Nexus, the ultimate forensics here. Thanks, Venki.
I would take the opportunity to thank you because it was a pleasure having you here. Nowadays, like people are, as the cyber world is going, people are not aware of the certifications that they should do in cyber security or cyber forensic. So I hope the people who are interested in cyber forensic or cyber security, they find this session very informative, and they do the certifications as per their area of interest and whatever they like. Really, it was very knowledgeable session, and thank you so much. Really, it was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Venki. Thanks a lot.
Welcome to our next session. The 4 largest professional service networks in the world, known as Big Fours, that is Deloitte, Ernst & Young, KPMG, and PricewaterhouseCoopers, that is PwC, a dream of every individual to work. Here we present our session on forensics in Big Fours. The speaker for this session is Mr. Dharmil Badami, Consultant, Incident Response in KPMG. He has more than 3 years of experience in field of IT advisory, cyber security, and forensic technology services. He has performed several projects related to incident response, malware analysis, memory forensics, disk imaging, and digital forensic investigation. Over to you, sir.
Hi everyone, this is Harman Vadami. Thank you for introducing me, and I'm glad to be here. And so I'll take the session on the forensics in Big Fours. My background is, sir, can you share my PPT so that I can able to walk through? Yeah. Yes. So who am I? I am a digital forensic investigator, an incident responder, and a malware analyst, and a gaming enthusiast. So my background is I have completed my MS in digital forensics. I am a certified ethical hacker, and I have a diploma in cyber law. That goes with my education, and with respect to my experience, I have undertaken various digital forensic investigations. I have responded to multiple incidences, whether it is ransomware or an insider threat or a normal data leak. So that is my background education. And one most important thing is that I am extremely fond of computers and how they work. And so that is where my passion is, and that is where I've always been interested in. So yeah. I'll introduce you to the Big Four, who are they, what they are, and then I'll move on to the forensics in Big Fours. So as Sir rightly said, Big Four is KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, and EY. Everybody knows that. They all started in accountancy as their primary field. Then later on, due to the requirement, they expanded into consultancy, and then they are into all sorts of advisory, and they are pretty much present in every field and sector. Their primary service is regarding financial audits and accountancy. They also provide taxation consultation, and recently they have started giving IT advisory and risk consultation. I'm in KPMG. I come under IT advisory and risk consultation. I am an incident responder in KPMG who also takes care of digital forensic investigation. Moving on to the next slide, that is how do they work? What is Big Four and how do they work? So Big Four is basically a multinational company having presence across almost all the countries in the world. They have a global presence. Earlier, they were used to be more than 4 companies. They were like Arthur and Anderson, but due to a scam, they were forced to shut down. But now there are Big Fours, and they all are multinational companies having having presence in multiple countries, providing multiple services, from income tax audits to business continuity to forensic investigations to cybersecurity, penetration testing, you name it, they have their services ready for you. These are extremely process oriented companies where each and every process is documented, and they have their own style of working. For example, KPMG, it's a consultancy firm. They have their client-facing staff, and they have non-client-facing staff. So client-facing staff takes care of the consultancy, takes care of the IT advisory, takes care with maintaining the relationship with the customers. Whereas a non-client-facing department takes care of the employees and the organization needs, how an employee should grow in their career, what skills are required, what soft skills are required, what technical skills are required, how an employee should grow other than his choice of field. For example, I'm a technical guy. I am you can say I'm not good at client communication, so they'll teach me how to communicate with the client. If my email skills are not that great, so they'll teach me how to write an effective email. Other than that, there is HR staff, then there is training staff, there is it takes care of all the things. they had since these Big Fours are so diverse and so flexible in their nature, they are able to provide services across the globe, and they are, as an organization, they are independent, but inside the organization they are interdependent. For example, KPMG India is independent of PwC or EY, but at the same time KPMG India has multiple subsections in it, like north region, south region, east, west. that is interdependent. So if, for example, south region needs help, the north and the east or the west region can help out. Similarly, KPMG as a whole has multiple country-wise departments, sections, and each of them can help each other out. So that's how closely knit each of these big fours are, and that is how they are able to sustain themselves for more than 100 years. KPMG is the youngest of the big fours. They started in 1980s, and it is 2020. But whereas EY and Deloitte and PwC, they go way back to 1920s and 1930s. So because of this interdependability and flexibility, they are able to sustain themselves in this current day and age. One quick fact is that since their primary function is financial auditing, they provide services to Fortune 500 companies, and 65% of their revenue generated from these services. The services can be financial transaction investigation, or mergers and acquisition investigation, or business continuity and operations. You name it, it is there. If you want to set up a business, you can consult any big four. If you want to have a forensic investigation, whether it's a forensic accounting or digital forensic investigation, these are the people who will deliver. And because of this, they have established trust over the period of time, and hence they work closely with the government, especially with the government of India and other nations' government as well. So moving on to the next slide. Apart from their culture, apart from how they work and their presence and their history, it is actually very entertaining. It is actually very fun to work in such organization, because there are these companies take care of you. These companies will ensure that you are not only progressing through your career, experience wise, exposure wise, but as at the same time, these companies will take care of your skill sets also. So, and most importantly, they pay really well. Like, they have a very handsome package. So the main question that comes to anybody's mind is, how do I get in? How do I get into a big four company? And what are the skill set? How do I crack the interview? So the first and the foremost thing is education or knowledge, either or. It is required. It is the foundation of your career path. You decide in education. If you have already decided and if you are on a path, you need to identify what exactly you want to do with your foundation. For example, my foundation is bachelor's in IT. I'm a BSc IT graduate, and in my bio you must have seen that I had a year drop, and in that 1 year drop, I decided I'll go for a diploma in cyber law, and from there on my journey started. So you should know what you want to do. You should know what your path is. So first and foremost is education and knowledge. Second is you need experience in a particular domain. You can't be a jack of all trades from the starting. You have to start becoming a master of one, and then you can expand your skill set and become jack of all trades. So experience in a particular domain, technical skill set is required, because I'm coming from a technical background, and forensics is all technical. 80% is technical, 20% is report writing. So it is extremely important that you know your technical skill set. You need to be expert in the things that you do. For example, when it comes to forensics, there are n number of types of forensics, like digital forensics, smartphone forensics, network, cloud, then server forensics, all sorts of. These are only technical forensics. When it comes to toxicology forensics, then biological forensics, the list goes on and on. So you need to stick to one field, and you need to get a technical skill set in it and expertise in it, and then you keep on learning new things in that field. When it comes to big fours, apart from having technical skill set, it is also very important that you need to have a good communication presentation skills. Trust me, this is something which is known to everyone, but nobody pays any importance to this. Good communication and presentation skills is extremely important, because you can be the world's greatest hacker, but if you're not able to communicate to your client, there's no point to your technical skill sets. So the most important thing is good communication and presentation skills. And if you are able to write a report, that's an added bonus. Like that's like the most responsible task in any investigation that I've done. Right? Whenever the investigation starts, the most important thing is documentation. You can investigate a crime scene. We have all seen CID. We have all seen all the forensic criminal shows, and they just walk into the crime scene and they try to get the evidence and everything. That's all flashy and jazzy, but the most important thing is documentation. Right from the start till the end, documentation plays extremely vital role. And if you're good in report writing and documentation, that's an added bonus. So to sum it up, how do I get in? I get in with the fact that I should have a good knowledge. I should have my choice of field. I should have technical expertise in that. I should at least have understanding of where I want to be, good communication and report writing skills. Yeah. So moving on, how did I get here? That is the important question. I'm just like you guys, a BSc IT graduate with a year back, extremely into gaming, cyber gaming, playing online games full day and out, and I was just like a normal guy. So, but from the beginning, I was extremely interested in computers. So I wanted to do something which was aligned to this interest, which I could utilize it in future. So when in my year drop, I decided to pursue cyber law. From there on, I got inspired to do MS in digital forensics, and then on after completion of that, I decided to expand my skill set and get myself certification in ethical hacking. And my journey kept on moving from there, and then after that I worked for multiple forensic labs, that is Gujarat Forensic Lab, Mumbai Forensic Lab, Delhi Forensic Labs. I even worked for CBI, solved a couple of cases, but obviously we'll not hear about that. But yeah, I have participated in forensic investigations for state governments who are handling cases for state police, then ACBs, and yeah, it's all there. It's all there. So I have worked there, and then I decided that I have experienced this side, the government side of it. I'll move on to the private side. So there, I was a team leader. I led a team of forensic investigators and solved cases. Around 200 TB of data was investigated, and it was one of the biggest cases that I had handled. And here I am in KPMG, in 4th year of my journey, and I am now not only a digital forensic investigator, and I'm an incident responder. I do malware analysis, and occasionally, if I get time, I play online games. Yeah, so that has been my journey. Yeah, so moving on to the next slide. So what we learn from this is that hard work is very important. Hard work and identifying the career path that you want to be. This is something which I actively decided. I could have been any other person, but this is something which I decided. This is something which I wanted to do, and it felt right because it was aligning to my interest in computers. So that's how that is how I am where I am right now. Yeah. So this has been my journey. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So that is all about it. This was my experience in Big Four. If this is my experience when it comes to forensic investigations and how I made my journey over here. Other than that, I would like to point one fact out that all the Big Four in India, they are having an extremely high demand for professionals in digital forensics. They have extremely high demand for professionals in cybersecurity, and the list goes on. It is in 2020, the list of the amount of cyber crimes have increased exponentially. In 2021, the forecast is that approximately 2 million jobs will be required in the field of cybersecurity itself. When I say cybersecurity, I mean penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, and so on and so forth. And when it comes to forensic investigation, it is not going to slow down. It is only going to increase the demand, and with that, the demand is so high, and the supply of skilled investigators, the supply of good forensic investigators is low, and that is the opportunity that any individual, if the interest is right, can exploit it. Trust me, a forensic investigator not only in India but outside India has an exponential growth curve. uh, Out in US, the average salary of a forensic investigator is $95,000. Just look it up, the conversion rate, and yeah, keep ready, be ready to have your jaw dropped. And in India, it is as good as that. You are paid handsomely, you have respect, you get to do forensic investigations, and yeah, it is fun. It is actually fun to do that, except for the documentation part that is boring. But yeah, it is also important. So that's it from me, and arigato, thank you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn or on my email.
Thank you so much, sir, for removing your precious time from your busy schedule and sharing your experiences with everyone. It's very
Sure.
important for the youth because everyone dream to work in big fours, and like people get disheartened like we are not a part of big fours, or like how will we get into the big four. So I hope this like the youth find it informative, and they keep themselves boosted up to join the big four. They learn the new things, what are the certifications that you have done, so that that will be helpful for them, and surely one day they can end up in the big four.
Yeah, definitely. It is easy with it is extremely easy to get into it, and if you have the right skill set and right mindset, you can definitely get in.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to be here.
We here conclude our third webinar with all the new trends and technology in field of forensics. The family of Nexus is thankful for all our speakers and attendees for strengthening the event day by day. Thank you everyone for all your support. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn so that you don't miss any opportunities of the events. Stay tuned and be